players are returning to Marvel Strike Force. And if you are returning to Marvel Strike Force after a break, this is the video for you. Talking about everything that you need to do to get your account back into the meta. And with me, I am joined by my brother that has recently returned to Marvel Strike Force, Brother Goofy Rexy. And if you're ready for it, Brother Goofy, let them know what to do.
Let's go smash it.
And welcome back to the ValleyFlyin channel. I am ValleyFlyin. This is Goofy Rexy. And in this video, I'm all about what you need to do as a returning player in Marvel Strike Force. But before we get to that, if this is your first time here on the channel, hit that subscribe button for more great Marvel Strike Force content. At least 5 Marvel Strike Force videos per week on this channel. Review videos, gameplay videos, question and answer videos, everything to help your experience in Marvel Strike Force. But without further ado, Goofy Rexy as a returning player. You're trying to catch up in a meta, new arena meta, new raid teams, new incursion raids. As the first thing, if they are not able to get a account of a whale that is recently retiring, what should they do, Goofy?
Well, that was extenuating circumstances, okay? Now, what I was preparing to do.
Yes, how would you? Let's go by game mode because there's a lot of different things. Just to keep it simple. All right, arena. What was the last arena team you had on your old account before you returned to the game? What was the arena meta at the time?
Yeah, so the arena meta at the time for me was the Apocalypse, Horseman, sort of team, right? That's what I was running with. We had kicked Weaver out of the arena meta. Bye-bye. Okay. Because of APOC. So right now, and I'll be very honest with you. So when I first came back with the account I had, there was just no way for me to be able to compete in arena. So I would say this: if you're a returning player, depending on how long you've been out, for instance, I was out for 7 to 8 months. I probably wouldn't even focus on arena, and that might be going against what people say. Well, you need your arena in order for your cores. But right now, the arena meta is Secret Defenders or Super Scroll. It's going to be the out of time team. Right now, if you don't have those or out of time character, I think in Black Knight, it doesn't really make sense for you to focus on it until there is a new arena meta that arises, and then you can tackle getting those characters to then use in the arena meta. That's how I would play it.
Yeah, I think arena as a returning player, this is the one place that you're gonna struggle because of the way the shards are done. They take them, I believe it's like every 20,000 players that start the game, they are put into the same shard, the next 20,000 players, the next shard. So as a returning player, this is the place that you're gonna struggle the most,
right? Arena,
because you're in a shard with older players that theoretically were playing that whole time, have the current meta characters, and if you come back without those meta characters, this is a place you're going to struggle. Obviously, you want to get these meta characters. If you don't have Apocalypse, get Apocalypse. If you don't have Super Scroll, start working towards Super Scroll. I know that's a long road, but you know, eventually you should be in the meta. And the other thing I think that new players can do, you mentioned Black Knight. Focus on the next arena meta. Right. You know, you might not be able to get some of these older characters, like let's say Weaver was still in the meta. You know, you might not be able to get her, so focus on the newer characters that are going to be in the next meta. It looks like Black Knight's going to be in the next meta. If you are, you know, getting, and I was going to say Mephisto, but that wouldn't be for returning players. You would need Super Scroll first. So yeah, arena is a place that you're going to struggle, but focus on whatever team is in the meta. Start building towards that. Or start focusing on the next meta. That may be actually more economical. You know, focus on the Mephistos, the Black Knights, and still keep working towards Apocalypse and Super Scroll. But let's move on to these raids, because this is a place that I think you can catch up. And if you're a returning player and have friends in the game, this is a place that your alliance can carry you. So where were you? Where you were in the incursion raids when you left?
There was no.
Yeah, so there was the first incursion raid.
Yeah, the first incursion raid. There was not this one. This new one right here. I think we were doing what, incursion first strike when I left.
I don't know. I don't know when you left.
Yeah, so I think that's what I remember doing when I left. But when I came back, there was like 2 more raids after that. So this is a brand new one here. So the good news is that for a lot of the characters that you need, like your Bifrost team, which is for your Mystic raids, you need your not your Extreme team, but your Pegasus team. You then will need your Extreme team. You will need that Hive Mind team. Now, 2 of those teams, the characters aren't farmable for as of yet with respect to like some of the older characters that are already part of the meta. But some of those characters from the Bifrost, characters from the Pegasus team, those characters are available. If you were here when you had Kestrel, great. You're going to need Kestrel for Apocalypse, right? You're going to want to build that character anyways, because you want to get your big boy Apocalypse or your baby Apocalypse if you haven't gotten that as of yet. The Bifrost team right now, although they aren't necessarily the best the team to outside of raids.
They suck outside of raids. Let's not sugarcoat it, Goofy. They suck outside of the raids. Except for Val, she's very good in Dark Dimension. Other than that, they suck.
And that was my point. At least Val you can find some value for. Also, Sylvie and Loki can be used on like some plug and play teams in Cosmic Crucible, but it's very nuanced, right? That you're going to be using those characters. So for me personally, the areas that I would focus on primarily would definitely be your raid. Try to build up your raid teams, your raid characters. You'll highlight the characters. That's what I did when I first came back. I highlighted all the raid characters that I needed. I had like 4, 5, 6 lines of favorites, and I just focused on target farming those characters because raids are really important. You get a lot of gear there, and that's one of the areas where I think that you can at least control a lot of your participation and what you're doing, because arena is kind of tough. But I think for raids, you build that out.
Yeah, I agree. Now, the order that you build these teams in, I think you go and see what raid your alliance is doing, and then build in that order. So for example, these Incursion 2 raids, it first starts off with a Mystic section. So in this example, if I was returning as an alliance that was doing this, I would build up my Bifrost team first, because this is the team that can fix that. Next, I would start working on Pegasus, because that handles the tech section. Now, if you're a turner, you might not, like you said, you might not be able to get all these mutant characters as part of the Extreme X-Men team, but for certain characters you can get, like Gambit. Like Cyclops, like some of the pieces of the team. I'll start working on that, and then as soon as these characters come farmable, you can start building your own, and your alliance won't have to carry you as much. And then start working on these newer teams here. That's the order that I would build them in. Any difference in how you would have built them if you had your old account when you came back, Goofy?
Yeah, so in terms of in an old account, I guess that's probably because when I joined in, I brought into like a newer alliance. Not a newer alliance, but an alliance I was doing incursion raids. That was how I was building them. But if you're doing, let's say, older raids like the incursion, and I would go, like you said, whatever that first section is, build that team first, right? And then so on and so forth. That's the way that I would build it, because ultimately, here's the thing too, like even if you're not doing incursion raids 2, or then building your Bifrost team may not make sense for you, because that team, I think, is probably going to be the first one that's going to be replaced, right? In terms of like the raid teams, I would think. So maybe that might not make sense for you. Maybe you hold off on that. Maybe you build in another particular way that you can get through. A Death Seed is still good for incursion raid 1. I would build that team.
I would not build that seed at all.
But you're going to need them depending on where you are. You're probably going to need them for Apocalypse anyway. So therefore, you're probably going to want to build your Death Seed team just to be able to do well enough. Don't build them too high, but do well enough in the Incursion 1 raids, and then you'll have the added bonus of also being able to use them for Apocalypse. So it all depends on what raids you're doing, what lanes you're in. That's how I would build, because you want to be able to contribute in an alliance. And maybe you're in a position where your alliance is willing to carry you anyways until you get to Incursion raid 2.
And then you can skip on some of these teams. Like if you go back to Incursion 1, and your alliance is doing that, they already have their Extreme X-Men. Maybe you don't need to build them, and you can start focusing on some of these other teams. Work with your alliance and just do the bare minimum that you need. As soon as you could do whatever raid content your alliance requires of you, stop building them, unless these raid characters you're using in other game modes. Let's move on to other game modes, because I think you just do whatever you need, bare minimum for the raids. Let's move into these other game modes, because these are solo game modes, or solo game modes that you have some good rewards. Cosmic Crucible and Alliance War, it's alliance based, but you're doing your attacks individually. Cosmic Crucible, I think that's a little more important because of the rewards. Where did you focus some of your building after Arena, after the raids, or where would you have if you didn't get that crazy big Kraken account?
Yeah, so well, good. Yeah, that did happen. All right, so no, but where I would go is that I would focus on. So there are 2 teams in particular that come to mind, right? You have New Warriors, and then you have your Masters of Evil team. Those are 2 teams that, number one, they do very well in Cosmic Crucible. That's the game mode that they were created for. Additionally, you're going to need those 2 teams in order for you to be able to get Nova, right? So you're kind of killing 2 birds with 1 stone there. So I would use that team, and then you're obviously going to give yourself a strong sort of footing as it pertains to your Cosmic Crucible. And then you should, maybe depending on how long ago you left, you may still have like Infinity Watch. You may already have Darkhold. You may have Gamma. You may have Dead Seed, right? You may have already had Unlimited. So then you can use those teams in Cosmic Crucible. Hopefully you're not placed in like an area where everybody has the new teams and you just can't get through it. This is these are 2 game modes. I will be honest with you. Arena and Cosmic Crucible, you're gonna probably struggle, I think, in these individual modes the most potentially, just simply because other people might have Secret Defenders and you don't have them. Other people may have Extreme, you don't have them. They may have Sinister Six and you don't have them. But also that's another team too. Sinister Six is also another good one that you can focus on as well. You will not have Green Goblin as of yet, Green Goblin Classic, but you know that in the future that once you do get Green Goblin Classic that you would already build your Sinister Six team too. So Sinister Six, Masters of Evil, New Warriors, those are 2 areas that I will go and understand that you're not going to have Green Goblin Classic as of yet.
All right, so Goofy, I want to ask you a question. When you came back, here's one thing I was wondering about. As your rank, what was your ranking when you came back? Was it near the same league, or did you drop a lot because you haven't been playing and getting all these losses? What was your account like when you came back?
It didn't drop at all. Well, it dropped a little bit, but it didn't drop by much. I mean, I was still, I think I maybe dropped down to Plat 1. I think I was in, was it Plat 3? I think.
So only 2.
Yeah, Plat 3.
It had to be more than that because each season you're dropping at least 1 level as they do that. So
I wasn't that low when I came back. I was still facing, let's put it this way, I was facing some people that had some Diamond 3 Gambits. I had people that had like these 2 million, 1.7 million teams. I did not drop that much at all, which was surprising. I don't know why that happened. I don't know why their system was in that particular way, but I think I still had like 14. My Tribunal Arena was like 1497 or something like that. So I was still like in Plat 2. I didn't drop that much. So I didn't drop that much. So Cosmic Crucible may be an area where you're probably going to struggle a little bit because you're punching up so much. I was by far, I think my TCP is like 32 million. I was facing other players that were at 50 million when I came back.
All right. So yeah, it sounds like you're not going to drop as much, so it might still be as challenging. I was hoping that as you drop, you would face some easier teams because you'd be losing a lot, but it doesn't sound like you drop as much as I was hoping you would. So yeah, it does sound like you're going to struggle. At this point for Cosmic Crucible, as a returning player, same thing like War, place whatever you have. I would save as much as you can for offense because if without the larger roster that a lot of your opponents may struggle to clear all these rooms in War, all these rooms in Cosmic Crucible. So I would focus on offense for all of these and then slowly start putting some of your teams on defense and upgrading them once you have your offense and full clears in Cosmic Crucible and clear as much as your alliance wants in War. Pretty much the same thoughts for War, or do you have a different philosophy when it comes to upgrading your War characters?
I would say for Alliance War, that's not something I'm building out for at all. Like really, it's not. I mean, Cosmic Crucible, I'm going to try a little bit there because there's some individual rewards that I can get and things and characters that I need to farm in that store and things like that. But for Alliance War, trying to build specific war teams, you use whatever else you have left over from raids, whatever you're trying to do for your, maybe Cosmic Crucible if you're building out of that individually, whatever you're using for your Scourge teams, like your trial teams, you build those out. Like priority, I would say raids, your trial teams, like your Scourge teams, whatever you need for APOC, and then whatever you're slowly building for your scroll, you use leftover of that and throw that in War. Otherwise, I just don't see you can't build out for everything, all at once when you're just coming back. I would note those. It's just this right here is kind of, it's like last on the list for me, if you ask me.
All right. So what I'm gathering, Goofy, you're going to suck in Arena as a returning player. It just kind of is. You're taking the time away and just try to climb, and hopefully you could get into the next meta. Raids is where your focus should be, as well as unlocking legendary characters and the next upcoming characters that you need so you can unlock. All right, so let me do that again. Sorry. All right, so Goofy, just to review.
Yeah.
Arena, you're gonna suck when you come back as a returning player. Just kind of face it. You don't have the meta, but you can catch up and get back into the meta once the next meta arrives. So probably it's the best to start focusing on the next meta at that point and just kind of hold. Most of your focus is on the raids, is what I'm hearing. Get your characters or whatever you need for the raids. Once you have whatever you need for your alliance, then focus on unlocking characters, legendary unlocks, whatever unlocks, other content, and then leftovers, you slowly start building your teams for Cosmic Crucible and War.
Yeah, like Cosmic Crucible, you're going to focus on like maybe 3 teams that you're specifically building for Cosmic Crucible, but the only reason why you're doing that is because that's going to help you with your legendary unlocks, right? And then with Alliance War, you're not really building out for Alliance War. It's whatever you have left after you've built out raids, after you've built out legendaries, and whatever else, for Cosmic Crucible. It's pretty much basically left over. That would be my main focus at this point, because otherwise you're going to overwhelm yourself. You're going to get frustrated. Now, also, once new characters come in, assess what they're needed for, and then you start building out those characters as well.
So let me know in the comments, if you are a returning player, is that the order that you would do it? Or is there anything that we forgot that really helped you out? Let me know in the comments down below. Now, if you want to check out what are the best things to purchase in the store, check out the video that Goofy and I did on his channel. The link is going to be down below. And if this video did give you some value, leave it a like. It is free for you and it tremendously helps the channel. If you want to check out what are the best plug and play characters in Marvel Strike Force right now that you can use any game mode, many teams, check out the video up there and I'll see you guys next time. Hulk fist bump, Goofy Rexy. ValleyFlyin out.